Nature and the Journey to Save It by Kai Manning. Introduction. We live in a vast and beautiful world with dense forests and deep oceans. Along with them are amazing and interesting creatures, from horses to fish and eagles to snakes. In this slideshow, I will show you some of my favorite animals and how we can help them from going extinct or being uprooted from their habitats. Today we'll be discussing Mexican military macaws, Norway fjord horses, and Brazilian rainbow boas. Military macaws. Origins and history. Military macaws, or Aura militaris, are a large species of parrot known for their predominantly green bodies, accented with blue and yellow feathers and a red patch of feathers above their beaks. They have 8 distinct native ranges, 2 in Mexico and 6 in South America, with none found in Central America. Across these fragmented ranges, there are 3 different subspecies of military macaws, none of which overlap. The presence of these macaws significantly contributes to ecotourism in countries such as Argentina, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, Peru, and Venezuela. They tend to prefer arid places and not tropical rainforests. You can find them in dry forests and trees by water sources. Some South American flocks live in humid lowland forests, canyons, and foothills. Markings and colorings. Military macaws are mainly green with more bright lime green on the head that progresses into darker olive greens on the body. They have bright blue coloring on their wings and a bright red tuft on their foreheads. Their tail feathers include browns and reds with a yellow-olive tint underneath. These birds have black beaks and dark gray legs and feet. Their eyes are framed by the classic bear macaw facial patches, each with striping rings of small black feathers. The macaw species in general is monomorphic, meaning males and females look alike. DNA or surgical sexing are the only ways to determine whether the bird is male or female. Diet. Military macaws' diets consist of nuts, fruits from various palms, seeds, figs, leaves, flowers, nectar, the occasional latex from the stem of the romero tree, and clay. Military macaws' reproduction and nesting habits. These gorgeous birds are monogamous, meaning they usually bond for life unless something happens to their mate. They tend to be seasonal breeders, but in captivity these animals can breed year-round. However, in the wild, this may depend on existing bonds, cavity availability, and resource access. Military macaws are secondary cavity nesters, meaning they nest in pre-existing cavities, either formed by natural means or pre-excavated holes in cliff sides or tall trees, usually 20 to 30 feet above ground. Rivera Ortiz in 2016 summarized the number of publications and reported the behaviors of grooming and regurgitation that were observed between pairs as a way of strengthening bonds. The Aura militaris have varied mating seasons, depending on distinct locations they live in. Breeding season in northern and western Mexico occurs from March to October. In western Mexico, breeding begins with nest selection from October to November, and concludes when juveniles leave the nest, which typically happens between January and March. In central Mexico, the breeding season takes place from May to September. The timing of breeding seasons varies across regions due to differences in resource availability and the growth cycles of tree species that coexist in the area. The average breeding time of the military macaw is every 1 to 2 years, and they tend to lay 2 to 3 eggs in a single clutch. In captivity, hatching time averages 26 days, and hatchlings weigh 18 to 25 grams. Fledgling times are around 13 weeks, and the time to learn independence is 3 to 5 months. The sexual maturity between sexes is the same between 2 to 4 years. Conservation status. This bird is classified as vulnerable to extinction, making it a protected species. Although the total population exceeds 10,000, only an estimated 2,000 to 7,000 mature individuals are left in their native habitat. The continual decline of the species is due to habitat loss and trapping for the pet trade that has endangered some regional populations. 20% have seen their decline in habitat in Mexico. The military macaw has been known since the 1500s, a time when European explorers first met the New World. The name comes from the military personnel who brought the birds back to Europe. It also reflects their olive green feathers, which look similar to military green. The military macaw is popular because this species is used to breed hybrid macaws in captivity, i.e. calico macaws, Millicent macaws, and Marigold macaws. Conservation efforts. Conservation efforts have been implemented to help prevent the decline of the military macaw. The U.S. Endangered Species Act protects these birds by prohibiting their transportation across state lines. In Europe, they are included in the European Endangered Species Program, and education initiatives focused on military macaws have been launched in select regions of Mexico. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, Red List outlines future conservation goals, which include expanding current breeding programs and reducing habitat loss in nesting areas. Rainbow boas. Geographic range. Rainbow boas, scientifically known as Epicrates centria, are primarily found in the neotropical regions of Central and South America. Their range extends from Nicaragua to the Amazon basin and the foothills of the Andes Mountains. Additionally, they can be found along the coast east of the Brazilian highlands. Habitat. Rainbow boas primarily inhabit Amazonian and coastal rainforests. They can occasionally be found in nearby savannas, but usually prefer low-lying branches or the ground. Conservation efforts. These snakes are labeled as at least concerned regarding their conservation status. However, they are facing significant threats from habitat loss and the pet trade. As more forests are cleared to make way for the cattle farms, and because many of these snakes are removed from their natural habitats to be sold as pets, I doubt they will continue to be labeled as least concerned in the coming years. Physical description. Rainbow boas feature a color range from orange to reddish brown, adorned with dark spots along their sides and a dark ring pattern that runs down their back, resembling the patterns found on ball pythons. Their underbellies and sides are typically a lighter gray, and additionally they have 3 dark lines on their heads, and their scales display a brilliant iridescent shine, especially after shedding. This species exhibits sexual dimorphism. Female rainbow boas are slightly longer than males, and possess wider abdomens for embryo and fat storage, while males tend to be more muscular. Rainbow boas typically range in length from 1.5 to 2.0 meters and generally weigh around 1,306 grams. Development in the egg. Rainbow boas experience 3 developmental stages. In the early stage, either yolk formation occurs or an embryonic disc becomes visible. During the mid-developmental stage, fetal heartbeats can be detected, and the yolk presence increases. Finally, the late development stage begins, where the fetuses grow larger, heartbeats remain detectable, and skeletal formation of the skull and spine starts, while the yolk disappears. Reproduction. Male rainbow boas engage in ritual combat with other males in late autumn to gain access to females. During this period, the length of the male reproductive organs reaches its peak. Females typically become pregnant about 23 days after this male-on-male combat, indicating that fertilization occurs after the male's display. The females produce the smelly musk that draws in the males, and then the males engage in the combat, and whoever wins gets to engage with the female. Just ask my coworker. She will confirm it. I was hoping to show a video of them doing this ritual, but since the pet trade has ruined everything about this beautiful animal, we currently have no natural videos of this ritual, so I'll be providing a video of another snake species ritual. Mating system. Rainbow boas are polygynandrous, meaning they have multiple mating partners during a single mating season. This is also referred to as being polygamous. They primarily reproduce through sexual reproduction, but there are occasional instances of asexual reproduction. Females rainbow boas are generally ovoviviparous, meaning they produce young using eggs that hatch within their bodies, a trait commonly seen in certain snake species. Additionally, there is some evidence suggesting that they may engage in parthenogenesis, where reproduction occurs from an ovum or gamete without fertilization. This phenomenon is typically found in some invertebrates and plants. Furthermore, females usually undergo vitellogenesis between autumn and winter, a phase characterized by accelerated egg growth. During this period, there is a significant accumulation of lipid yolk and protein, leading to the production of fully developed eggs, often within a short time frame. Mating occurs every 2 years during the same period, with gestation lasting between 3 and 8 months. This typically takes place between winter and spring. The birth occurs between spring and summer. Notably, they do not eat during pregnancy and usually give birth 1 to 30 offspring. The birth mass of offsprings ranges from 12.4 grams to 30.2 grams. Rainbow boas reach sexual maturity at a length of 1.5 meters. Males mature in about 3 years, while females take around 4 years. Fjord horses. Physical description and history. The Norwegian fjord horse, pronounced as fjord, is one of the oldest horse breeds in the world. It is estimated that the original fjord horse migrated to Norway in the Scandinavian peninsula over 4,000 years ago and were domesticated around 2000 BC. These horses have been selectively bred in Norway over 2,000 years, with the first organized breeding program initiated in the mid-1800s. The original fjord horses came in various colors and averaged 12.1 hands tall, or 4 feet 0 inches. However, due to selective breeding, their height has increased to an average 13 to 14.1 hands, or around 4 feet 7 inches. Additionally, the fjord horses are one of the few modern breeds that display only primitive dun coloring. Geographic range. The fjord horse is the national horse breed of Norway and is the largest population outside of Norway's fjords. It can also be found in Denmark, Sweden, Belgium, the Netherlands, and the USA. In Norway, there are approximately 5,800 fjord horses, while the worldwide population is around 80,000. They originated from the western part of Norway to the mountainous regions of Norway. Conservation status and conservation efforts. In Norway, the fjord horse breeds are classified as endangered, with a population of only 5,800 and a limited numbers of foals being born each year to help increase their numbers. In 2011, an action plan was established for national horse breeds that included the Dole horse, fjord horse, and Nordland/Lingen horse. Currently, a new action plan is under consultation as of May 21. The purpose of this action plan is to provide structure and guidance for necessary measures to ensure the management of these breeds, serving as a tool to conservation efforts. In 2016, the Ministry of Agriculture and Food, or LMD, established a professional committee for national horse breeds. This committee advises LMD on matters related to these horse breeds in line with the current action plan. The committee consists of representatives from breeding organizations, the Norwegian University of Life Sciences, the Norwegian Genetic Resource Center, and the Norwegian Horse Center. Reproduction. The mating system of horses is similar to that of other equids and is characterized by polygynous structure, where males have multiple female partners, and typically male horses gather groups of females and defend them against other males that may attempt to mate with them. Males generally avoid mating with their daughters or females they grow up with in the same herd. Unlike humans, as seen in certain royal lineages, males engage in conflicts with one another using kicks and bites, while the defeated males submit and retreat. This behavior requires a significant amount of energy and is akin to rutting behavior observed in deer species, such as elk, deer, and moose. The hierarchy within a herd is influenced by reproductive status and age. Mothers and the newborns have first access to resources, followed by juveniles and non-reproductive females. Alpha males typically control access to these resources. Mating system. Males can reproduce year-round, but their activity peaks from April to June. Females are polyestrous during the mating season, meaning they experience more than one estrus cycle or heat period in a year. Mares typically enter an estrus period every 21 days, with each cycle lasting an average of 6.5 days. Spontaneous ovulation occurs 1 or 2 days before the end of the estrus period, making this the time when mares are most fertile. In autumn, the estrus cycles of females cease until the next breeding season. The average gestation period for mares is 335 days, though it can range from 287 days to 419 days. This variability means a foal can be born in either spring or autumn of the following year. If a foal is not born before the mare enters estrus again during the breeding season, she will not be able to breed that year. Typically, mares produce only one foal annually, and the occurrence of twin foals is rare. In domestic horses, only 14% of twin foals survive beyond 2 weeks, and one or both twins are often born underdeveloped. Foals are usually born at night in a quiet location. Wild horses typically weigh between 25 to 30 kilograms at birth, while domesticated foals average 40 kilograms. Foals are precocial, meaning they are well developed and can stand within an hour of birth and walk within 4 to 5 hours to follow their mothers. When the mother returns to the herd, she goes through postpartum estrus, which usually lasts 7 to 9 days. In domesticated horses that do not have a herd, postpartum estrus occurs 5 to 12 days after giving birth. Foals can eat solid food within a week after birth. During their first month, foals stay close to their mothers and nurse frequently and briefly. Outro. What can we do to help the planet and the species we love? As an individual, you can take several steps to make a positive impact on the environment. These actions include reducing your carbon footprint, switching to sustainable resources, cutting down on meat consumption, supporting sustainable farming practices, planting trees, protecting wetlands, advocating for policy changes, reducing waste, conserving water, adopting pets from shelters, and actively supporting conservation efforts through the volunteering and donations. Every bit helps in the fight for a healthier planet.